Shalom, Israel. First and foremost, all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahushai. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of the house of David. Salutations to you brothers throughout the four corners of the earth, teaching the truth in righteousness and sincerity. To you Israelite foreigners, come back home to the truth. To those that have passed on, serving the Lord, the dead in Yahushai shall arise first. All right, doing this video because I was just thinking in the spirit, you know what I mean? I think a lot of the way Esau keeps us in this position is because of the way they define actions, meaning that, you know, perfect example that brothers have been bringing out for years, right? This word that keeps being thrown out, racism, and the way it's being used even by the so-called black community. Because if you talk to different people, they define racism in different ways. Racism means, you know, this is just the most basic definition, right? Just using etymology. Race means your race, your people, right? Ism means love of or belief in, right? We've been saying that for years, right? A bicyclist takes the time out to perfect his craft because either he loves being, you know, he loves the act of the art of bicycling, you know, doing, you know, getting on one wheel and shit like that, or either they love it or they feel that that's going to be an integral part of their life where they can even maybe make a living out of it. A guitarist, he may love or believe in his ability to play the guitar. So a guitarist is going to take the time to perfect the craft and say, hey, I'm gonna be the best damn guitarist possible, so I could do, you know, so I could get gigs and shit, or so I could even maybe be part of the next fucking Metallica or some shit. You know what I mean? You know, and these are isms, right? You know, terrorists, they have a belief that by spreading fear and causing people to not feel safe, that they can get their message across. So they perfect the act of terrorism. They find the best fucking pipe bombs, or they find the best way to hurt people or to terrorize people. You know, a lyricist, you know, a rapper that you know, we always talk about, you know, you got rappers back in the day that used to be lyricists, and rappers nowadays are not. You know, you got people that really take it seriously and really get fucking mad and be like, oh, that's not real hip-hop. Oh, the lyrics suck and all that shit, right? Those are people that are lyricists. They have a passion for lyrics. And it doesn't have to be a person that raps themselves, but if you have a passion for what you're doing, or if you have a passion for what you listen to, you are a lyricist. Because you have a passion for it. You know, so it's all, it all plays into, okay, racism is belief in, passion for, you know what I'm saying? So when you factor in these murders that these cops keep murdering unarmed Black, Hispanic, and Native American people, they don't do that shit because they're proud to be white and proud Aryan Nation and shit. They don't do that because of that. Racism is the fact that the Ku Klux Klan and the neo-Nazis, they help the legal team of white people, of white cops that murder innocent Black, Hispanics, and Native Americans. That's the racism. The racism isn't what's getting our people killed. What's getting our people killed is the perpetual hatred that Esau has for us. Now, if you want to take the Bible out of it, then fine. Let's say it's race hatred. Let's call it race hatred or fear. You know, it could be fear. You know, I don't know how you can, you know, how you can attribute all of these situations. Sandra Bland it was fear because she was talking about going to court. But overall, it's the hatred and the lack of understanding between Black and Hispanic people that's really the cause of this race hatred or these murders. It's not racism. You know, a lot of these guys aren't card-carrying Ku Klux Klan members. 9 times out of 10, it would come out if they were. You know, they're not official. You know, they're not doing it for the race. They're just fucking scared of black people, or they might, you know, just not like black people in general. It's not that they are part of an organization that operates for the advancement of Caucasian people. You have to know the difference. You know, there's a big difference. You know, Israelites. We're not out there for the advancement of the Israelite people. We're out there to teach our people who they are. You know, because there's a prophetic, spiritual reason behind what we're doing. We're not sitting here, you know, trying to work within this system to bring about. No, we're sitting here saying this system is going to fall. God is going to make it fall. We have to get ourselves right so that when it does happen, you know what I'm saying, we will advance. You know, but our teaching doesn't have any direct impact on our rise now. You feel what I'm saying? But you know, just again going into racism. Racism is not the reason why people are dying. Unarmed blacks and Hispanics are being killed by cops. It's not racism. It's race hatred. You know, we have to be very careful and very picky about the words that we use to describe certain feelings and actions. You know, because if you really break down the word racism, then you sound like a fucking idiot saying racism is the reason why this is happening. Like, for instance, the reason why black, Hispanic, and Native American people are at the bottom isn't just racism. It's racism mixed with capitalism. It's not really even racism. White people don't do it because they love their race. You know, it's not that actually is more race hatred or rather preference than it is anything else. They prefer each other. They understand each other. You know, they can talk to one another and not, you know, have to understand or learn some crazy slang patterns that we have. You know, like I remember one time I was talking to a so-called white customer of ours, and he was a Giant fan too, and I said, oh, Saquon Barkley's going to be a problem. So he took it as a problem in the locker room type problem, like an Odell Beckham. And I was like, no, he's going to be a problem to the opposition, you know, because we're different cultures. I'm from the hood, you know. We describe things like that as a problem. Oh, he's going to be a problem. You know what I mean? And it's just a cultural thing. But we have to properly define these words. You know, we can't continue to allow the white man to throw the word racism out there when there's nothing wrong with racism. Racism is to love your people. You know, this whole thing about systemic racism. If it were systemic racism, then everything would be more pro-white than it is now. You know, it's not systemic racism. It's capitalism. It's that they want to make money at the end of the day. That's why we have to. If we're gonna stay true to the scriptures, you have to understand that this beast is all about money, right? Because this is what's going to lead to the chip. Capitalism is what's going to lead to the chip, not racism. You know, you brothers out there that go out to camp and you keep talking about fucking racism all day. Oh, God is a racist. You know, I mean, it's true. The Heavenly Father is about his people. But you're going about it all wrong. You're not teaching it the right way. You're not using the right definitions, the right terms. You know what I'm saying? And you're going against racism when you should really be going against capitalism. What's the one thing that's fucking up this country from top to bottom is capitalism. What's capitalism? The love of money. Capitalism. Love of capital. Capitalism literally is the love of money. And what's the scripture say about capitalism? Love of money is the root of all evil. That's what's bringing America down. It's not white versus black that's really fucking up this country. A lot of times, like, you really do see, like, a lot of crews, a lot of groups of friends have white people in them. It's not racism that's the big fucking thing that we have to fight as Israelites. What we have to fight is evil. We have to fight that love of money. The love of money, capitalism. Like, you don't get more blatant than that. You know, that's the problem. That's what's hurting so-called black, Hispanics, and Native Americans. That's why these cops are killing us. That's why these cops are killing us and getting away with it. Because if that shit hurt their pockets, they would make changes. Anything that hurts the white man's pockets, they make changes. You think they wanted to integrate? No. We continuously protested and did shit to interrupt their money flow. So it behooved them to make changes. You know, it just is what it is, because we have to be realistic when we read the scriptures, man. We have to be realistic when we look at the world and we try to reconcile the world with the scriptures. And you're not going to reconcile the world with the scriptures if your mind is on some fucking Shaka Sankofa or some fucking weirdo ass, you know, we're battling racism. We're not battling racism. You know, we are an Israelite. We are Israelites. We are a race. You know, we are fighting to get our people to be more about their people, which would mean black and Hispanics being more racist. We're not trying to get our people to be race haters. We're trying to get our people to separate themselves from the ways of this world. And the ways of this world is more capitalist than it is racist. You have to understand that, man. Define the problem accurately. And then when you go out there to teach, you can teach and be more effective. But as long as you're sitting here trying to be a Israelite version of the Black Panthers and say, oh, there's racist, oppressive white man scum and all that, you're gonna catch people. People are gonna be drawn to you because there's people out there that recognize, you know, America for what it is. But if you don't have the anti-capitalist message in your teachings, then, you know, you're telling them a problem, but you're not telling them the root of the problem. You know, that's just what it is, man. Black, Hispanic, and Native American people are dying because of race hatred, not racism. And nobody's doing anything about it because of capitalism. Because it doesn't, you know, why is Kaepernick not signed? Kaepernick is not signed because I could tell you from personal experience, I'm part of a couple of fan pages on Facebook for the New York Giants. And I can tell you there's a lot of New York Giant fans that are up in arms. Every time somebody posts anything that implies anything about Kaepernick coming back to the NFL, oh, should we sign him and shit like that? Yo, them fucking fans are like, oh, this piece of shit and, you know, all that. You know, he's so hated, you know, because, and it's funny because these are the same people, if they play the national anthem in your fucking house, are you going to get up and put your hand across your heart and, you know what I'm saying? You're not. So how's his disrespect? How is he disrespecting it any more than you are by being home? They're still playing the national anthem. You know that it's somebody singing the national anthem and doing all that shit. You choose not to get up. You want to keep your fucking beer can and your chips in the other hand and shit. You're just as disrespectful to the national anthem. You know what I'm saying? So again, for us Israelites out there teaching this truth, you know, we have to go out there and we have to attack what's really the problem. And what really be the problem and what's really been a thorn in the side of so-called black, Hispanics, and Native Americans, which is why nothing is going to be done 9 times out of 10 about these murderous cops, is capitalism. Racism, like I said, it's not like these motherfuckers are any particular Ku Klux Klansmen or none of that shit. You know what I mean? But anyway, with that, I hope this was edifying. You have to define these words correctly, so that when you go out to camp and teach, you're teaching against the wrong spirit. Or rather the right spirit. You're teaching against the spirit of capitalism. And that also goes into that guy that came up to us when we was in Atlantic City talking about some 720 credit score. You know what I'm saying? Because he believes in capitalism. He loves money. The problem is the capitalism. It's not racism. I mean, racism is a problem, or race hatred, rather. Racism is not a problem at all. You're supposed to love your race. With that, I'm going to say shalom.